This episode of Strawberry Inc. is different. Today, we're diving into one of the most high profile domestic terrorism cases in recent U.S. history, the 2020 plot to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. In 2020, the FBI exposed a chilling scheme by members of the Wolverine Watchmen militia group. The conspirators were angry over COVID-19 restrictions and consumed by anti-government ideology. Their goal was to kidnap Governor Whitmer from her vacation home, put her on trial for tyranny, and spark a civil war. By October 2020, federal agents had already been monitoring the group for a month, tracking their social media activity, in particular their Telegram group chats, as well as watching their surveillance of Whitmer's home and even documenting discussions about explosives. A rally outside the home had been coordinated and organized online. Several people planned to attend. The FBI moved in with coordinated raids and announced the arrest of 13 men tied to the plot. Those men included Adam Falk, Barry Croft Jr., Ty Garvin, Caleb Franks, Daniel Harris, Brandon Caserta, Joseph Morrison, Pete Musico, Paul Beller, Sean Fix, as well as brothers Michael and William Null, and lastly, Brian Higgins. The federal investigation was led out of the Western District of Michigan by prosecutor Andrew Bridge, who presented a federal criminal probe to a grand jury at the Grand Rapids Federal Court. That grand jury indicted several defendants on conspiracy charges. Adam Fox and Barry Croft Jr. each faced 2 conspiracy counts. Sean Fix, Ty Garvin, and Caleb Franks were also indicted, with an extra terrorism offense added. Not everyone was swept up in federal charges. Morrison, Musico, Beller, and Higgins faced state prosecutions instead. At their first court appearance before Magistrate Sally Behrens, the men were ordered to be held in custody without bond, and they were remanded to be detained into the Kent County Jail to await trial. They had initially been questioned at the U.S. Marshal's office in Detroit. Ty Garvin and Caleb Franks hired private attorneys, while most others relied on public defenders. The group had been on their way to the governor's house to kidnap her. Meanwhile, state authorities launched 3 separate probes. Kent County prosecutor Carol Simon presented 2 of them to grand juries in the Incam County Circuit Court. A third was presented in Kent County by prosecutor Chris Becker at their circuit court. None of the grand juries returned indictments, but prosecutors pressed forward with formal charges anyways. Morrison, Musico, and Beller were charged in Incam County with terrorism. Garvin, Franks, and Fix faced militia-related charges in Kent County, and Higgins was charged separately in Incam County with terrorism. The defendants stood before Judge Behrens again and entered not guilty pleas. Most remained behind bars, but 3 of them secured release. Sean Fix and Caleb Franks were released on $250,000 bonds. Ty Garvin on a $300,000 bond. They also faced state charges in Kent County, where they appeared before Judge James Redford and once again pleaded not guilty. But things changed quickly. Garvin, Franks, and Fix cut plea deals. Ty and Caleb pleaded guilty to conspiracy in federal court, while all 3 admitted guilt to terrorism charges. In exchange for their cooperation, their state cases in Kent County were dismissed, As part of their deals, they waived their right to appeal. The first major trial was federal. It came in October 2022, where 6 of them went to trial before a jury in Grand Rapids. The panel consisted of 12 jurors and 2 alternates. In November, the jury returned split results. Adam Fox and Barry Croft Jr. were convicted on all counts. The other 4 defendants walked free, acquitted on every charge. In 2023, it was time for the Incamp County state case. Morrison, Musico, and Beller went to trial before a 6-member jury with 2 alternates. All were convicted. Soon after, Brian Higgins faced his own trial with the same jury set up. Not the same members, but the same type of jury. This time, the verdict was different. Higgins was found not guilty, acquitted, a free man. Now let's discuss sentencings. On December 27th, 2022, Judge Robert Junker handed down tough sentences. Fox received 16 years in federal prison, plus 5 years of supervised release. Croft got 19 years in federal prison and 7 months as well, plus 5 years of supervised release and a $3,500 fine. Judge Junker sentenced Garbin and Franks. Garbin initially received 75 months, but his cooperation earned him a dramatic reduction to 30 months. Franks got 48 months plus 3 years of supervised release and a $2,500 fine. In the state case, Judge Charles Hamlin sentenced John Fix to a prison term of 3 to 20 years in prison. Judge Thomas Wilson Collette imposed prison terms. Morrison got 10 to 20 years, Musico 12 years, and Beller 7 years. State prison terms. That is enough for part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 coming right up. Now for part 2. Fox and Croft appealed to the Sixth Circuit, which operates in the Federal Court of Cincinnati, Ohio. But on April 1st, 2025, April Fool's Day, while most people were cracking jokes with others, this higher court had a serious matter to deal with. They affirmed both convictions and sentences. For now, this has been the last update. Most other appellate matters remain pending, including the state ones. Here, where the key figures are serving their time. Adam Fox and Barry Croft Jr. are both at the Florence Max Federal Prison in Colorado. Caleb Franks is at the Terre Haute Federal Prison in Indiana. Ty Garbin served his time at the Van Buren County Jail in Michigan before his release. He transitioned out through the Sylvester Street halfway house in Detroit. Sean Fix initially evaluated at the Charles Egler Reception Center in Jackson, Michigan. Now serving his time at the Parnell State Prison, also in Jackson. Joseph Morrison, Pete Musico, and Paul Beller all passed through the Charles Egler Reception Center. Morrison is at the Saginaw Correctional Facility in Freeland. Musico is at the Oaks Correctional Facility in Manistee. Beller at the Macomb Correctional Facility in Lenox Township. The Whitmer kidnapping plot was a chilling reminder of how extremist ideologies can spiral into violent conspiracies. Thank you for listening, and thanks to the infiltration, surveillance, and prosecution, the plan never came into fruition, but the cases leave behind a long trail of trials, plea deals, and prison sentences, reminders of how close Michigan came to political violence in 2020. This has been Strawberry Inc. Take care, stay safe, and have a good rest of your day. Shall the anarchism live on?